those of you who didn't get it first time. Twice. Okay, here we go. I am thine, O Lord, I have heard thy voice, and it told thy love to me. But I long to rise in the arms of faith, and be closer drawn to thee. Draw me nearer, nearer, blessed Lord, to the cross where thou hast died. Draw me nearer, 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 blessed Lord, to thy precious bleeding side. Consecrate me now to thy service, Lord, by the power of grace divine. Let my soul look up with a steadfast hope, and my will be lost in thine. Draw me nearer, nearer, blessed Lord, to the cross where thou hast died. Draw me nearer, 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 blessed Lord, to thy precious bleeding side. Last verse. There are depths of love that I cannot know till I cross a narrow sea. There are heights of joy that I may not reach till I rest in peace with thee. Draw me nearer, nearer, blessed Lord, to the cross where thou hast died. Draw me nearer, 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 blessed Lord, to thy precious bleeding side. Thank you. Have a seat. All right, let's go, Lord, in prayer. Does anybody have a spoken prayer request? Raylan asked for us to pray for her thumb. She smashed it in the car door, on the door. So, okay. Anybody else with a prayer request? Anyone else with a spoken request? Marie? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's here this morning. He's back in the office. He's here this morning. We're glad he's back. Yeah. Yeah. Vicky, do you have any? Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else with a spoken request? Yeah. Jocelyn? All right. Anybody want to spoken request something not mentioned that loud? All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house this morning, Lord. I pray that you'll bless each one of the requests, Lord. I pray for our church services this morning in Sunday school hour that will bring honor and glory to you, that we'll learn to walk with you closer, that your will be accomplished in each one of these situations that we've requested, and those with unspoken requests, Lord, you know the needs. I pray that you'll bless. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Thank you. Dismissed to Sunday school. Happy birthday, Becky. They do that every Sunday when they do it. Yeah. Just about every week. Right, to make things. Right. Right. A lot of times it is. A lot of times. Well, okay. Just like 60,000 people in the last 2 years died from the flu. So it's, and this was not as bad as the flu. It's not as contagious as the flu. The difference is that like a flu virus gets on a surface, can remain there for 4 or 5 hours, and then this can stay on there for a week. Yeah, so that's one of the differences. Right, and I read a report this week from this morning actually from a doctor, it's a virologist that worked on coronavirus, because this COVID-19 is just a different strain. He's worked on this since the 70s. He said it's just like everything else. Wash your hands, proper hygiene. He said if you get a cold, don't use a hanky. You blow your nose. Use Kleenex and throw them away. Use the antibacterial soap if you're going to use it. If you're going to Walmart and they have those little things that you wipe the handles with, go ahead and use those. And that in the child seat things, go ahead and use those things. Right, but that's things that most of us do every day. Okay, and we sell through our business. We sell uh, like alcohol pads. You buy a pack of 24, something like that, or hand sanitizer things, and we sell it to businesses, and we can't get it because people panic and say, and a lot has to do with the news, who wants to say, and a lot of the news is political minded because they're looking for this to be a reason to bring the economy down, like hoping it gets really bad to make the economy bad. And so I think I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think that the news uses a lot of things to slant it how they want it for political purposes. So I can't say any more than that without us getting tax problems with the politics. Okay, but there's a uh, right, the ones, but it had already been in some. I guess someone walked into that nursing home. I don't know that they might have been using that for because that place had already been contaminated, using that for other elderly people that they think might have it. But there's a doctor that's a college professor that knew he had it and went to a meeting with his colleagues, and now his colleagues have it. But that's ridiculous. You know, if you know you have it, you're supposed to be self-quarantined. You know, I don't know how many of you could stay home for 2 weeks from work. Anybody? Right? Could you if you had to? I mean, if you were sick and you don't want your coworkers to get it, I got it from somewhere. I got to give it back to somebody else. You know, so right, they can't be. But if you know you have it, then you don't. You just yeah. Right. She coughed up a lung last week, according to Chloe. But you miss. You're ready to take it back to somebody else. Okay? All right. Where we at? We're at Sunday school. John chapter 14. I think we'll do the Sunday school lesson now and go do it again at 10 o'clock when the people who think at 11 o'clock when the people think they're coming in for Sunday school, we'll start Sunday school over again. Because there's always somebody that comes in that thinks it's because the move the clocks up. Okay, John chapter 14. We'll read a few verses, starting at verse 27. We'll read just nothing in the chapter, but I'm just going to read a couple verses. But we'll look at these 4 or 5 verses together. And if you have questions, fire away. If you have comments, fire away. We've got plenty of time this morning. Okay? John chapter 14, look at verse 27. Peace I leave with you. This is Jesus. This is the night before he's taken. All these chapters, last few chapters, are all one night. Okay? Peace I leave with you. My peace give I unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away, and come again unto you. If you love me, you will rejoice, because I said, I go to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it is come to pass, you might believe. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence. Lord, I pray to bless the teaching of your word as we draw together in this. Give us wisdom. In your name we ask. Amen. Okay, look at this way. This night, on this night, the last chapter 14, 15, 16, this is all happening in the same night. It's all, and so Jesus is talking to his disciples. He knows 2 hours from now, he's going to go into the garden. The disciples are going to go with him. And they're going to go into prayer. And then Judas is going to come. He's going to be taken that night. They're going to have a false trial, the mock trial. And then tomorrow morning, he's going to be crucified. Okay, the next day. He knows what's going to happen. He said, verse 31, he said, as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. He said, I go, and I'm going to do what my Father has told me to do. Okay? There's no backing up from this. I know what's going to happen. And he's trying to explain over and over what's going to happen. He said, verse 28, if you love me, you would rejoice because I said I go. If you love him, then he said, this is God's will. You should rejoice because I am going. Because I'm going to go to Calvary. They can't comprehend this. I'm going to go to Calvary. Because I'm going, you should be happy. You should rejoice. If you love me, you'll rejoice because I said I'm doing my Father's will. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. But then it hits me that there is no way that these 11 chosen men, that Jesus already left, there's no way that these 11 chosen men are going to comprehend this day or this night. Okay? They want to go through a situation, we probably all in life have gone through some kind of situation where in a 24-hour period we had no idea what's going on. Or a life-changing event that just turned everything upside down for us. Right? Has anyone had one of those events where something just tragic, you think, how could this be happening? Okay.
So they need something that's big. These disciples, these 11 men, plus whoever's there, if there's others that are there gathered with them that are like the lady's servant or whoever is else there, but it's only mentioned that the 11 are there. Okay? They need something that's really big. What do they need for what they're about to face? Verse 27, it said, peace I leave with you. Okay? This is what they need more than anything else for this night. They need something that tells them everything's okay. Okay? Now, just like, okay, as was mentioned, the coronavirus thing a few minutes ago. Okay? Everyone in this room can have peace about whatever happens. Right now, it is not a pandemic where half our country is sick. Right now, there's not millions of people that have died from this, but it can happen. I mean, and it's worse in China because of the sanitary conditions that the people live in there. If you imagine this, there's 500,000 people working in one place, okay, and all basically live together, and they're together all the time. So if there's something like that, that's going to spread a whole lot faster than here, right? If someone gets off a plane here, and we don't have to worry about it. But the truth is, we don't have to worry about it either way, okay? No matter what happens. But there's some, God says, I want to give you peace. I don't want to give you the peace that the world gives you. I want my peace, right? My peace I leave with you, okay? That means a confidence beyond the comprehension of man, beyond any what man would call reasonable expectations or explanations. Peace that pacifies, peace that soothes your soul. It says everything's okay. Remember when Elisha had gone and stayed with him and Gehazi had gone and stayed with his family, and they built a house inside the room. They built a room on the side of the house, and as Elisha the prophet would pass through every once in a while, and Gehazi his servant with him, they'd stay. This lady and her husband built this room, so he'd stay there. They have a bed and a light, whatever, a candle, and so he would stay there. She had a child. The woman had a child, and the child went out in the field with his father one day. He must have been a small boy because someone carried him back to the house. And he was out in the field with his father and said, my head, and there's something wrong with his head. And you think brain aneurysm. Today's terminology, we think something happened to this kid because he died. Okay? He just starts out the morning fine, goes out the field with his dad. All the laborers go out to work, and he's out there working with his daddy, and all of a sudden grabs his head, and so and his dad keeps on working, says, take him back to his mom. His dads are like that, cold-hearted, and just say, take him back to his mom. He'll be okay. Whatever, he complained about a headache, but it was more than that. By the time he got back to the house, she laid him on his bed, and he died. Okay. This lady went to go find Elisha. Okay, and Elisha saw her coming, and sent Gehazi to run to her and say, is everything okay? You okay? The boy okay? Your husband okay? And she said, it's okay. Everything's fine. She had this peace, but she knows what's going to happen. Her son's laying at home dead. Okay? And she knows her son is laying at the house dead. And she said, it's okay. Everything's fine. It will be, he says, it will, she said, it will be well. In another verse, she says, it is well. Everything's fine. But when she gets a hold of Elisha, she falls down and grabs a hold of his feet. She's weeping because her son's dead. Okay? Now, of course, then God raises her son. Elisha goes back to the house, and God raises her son. She had a confidence that God's going, no matter what happens, God's in charge. And her only child is dead. Okay? That's kind of hard to comprehend sometimes. That God can give you peace at a time when you think you can't have no peace, or there is no peace. Okay? These disciples, this night, God says, Jesus said, peace I leave with you, my peace give I unto you, not as the world giveth peace. Here's the world's peace. It's a hippie sign. There's a cross with the sides broken down. It's a hippie sign. Twist one up, let's smoke something, and everything will be fine. No boundaries for life, or peace at any cost. That's the world's peace. It doesn't work. It's not the world's peace whether you surrender all your values to someone else other than God, and you give into the world's rule, some kind of emotional rule, and you think, well, everything's going to be okay. You have no idea why. Okay? There's a different kind of peace that comes from God. Years ago, probably about 35 years ago, there was a lady that that was dying of cancer, but she wasn't about to go yet. And the preacher and I went to see her, and she was a good friend of ours from our church. And he went to see her, and she said, I'm dying. Preacher Dave was funny. He said, "You ain't dying yet." And she said, "How do you know?" He said, "There's something called dying grace, and you don't have it. So you'll be fine." And she did die eventually. I mean, Buzz John, was he mean with her, harsh with her? No, she was our friend. I mean, she was a good friend of ours. She was Tammy's mentor, they'd say. He says, "There's something called dying grace, and you don't have it yet. You'll be okay. Just wait. You'll know. And so she was fine eventually. Okay. There's a peace that the world calls peace. It's a political dictatorship, communism. It's kind of like in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 14, where they said, "Come in, let's all have one curse." And people say communism. That kind of a peace says, we'll get into politics of this, but there's people in America today, one particular, that's really pushing communism for America, and it says everything will be okay. Yeah, it's always okay for the leaders up on top. The people in China they're all dying. It's not the people that are top. It's not the leaders of the Communist Party, or Russia was the same way. It's not the leaders of communism that are going to get some disease. It's going to be everybody else under them. Okay. There's a social aspect of peace that says everything's okay. Verse 31, couple verses. "But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do." Okay, but the world may know that the Father gave me a commandment. So here's peace. Here's this peace that Jesus talked about. One said, God, or he says, my Father told me to do something. Okay? And I am obeying my Father. So everything's okay. It's not determined by the outcome of what today is, or not determined. My peace or my joy on the inside is not determined by what's going on the outside today. But there's a peace that passes understanding of the understanding. I'm doing what my Father wants me to do. And that is all at this moment that really matters. And Jesus told the disciples, if you love me, you'll rejoice because I'm going to do this, but you don't understand it yet. If you're obedient to God and what He's told you to do, you'll see in the long run that God was right, and God is always right, and truth never changes. Okay, Daniel in the lion's den. Remember the story, right? So everybody remember the story about Daniel being cast in the lion's den? Who was the king at that time? Who's the king? Mark? When Daniel was cast in the lion's den, who was the king that he was serving? Nope, wasn't either one of those. Was right after, it was after Nebuchadnezzar, and Hezekiah was at the same time. Hezekiah was of Judah. Charlie, who was the king? Yeah. Okay, I was going to say the same thing. It's not. It's Darius. Okay, because if you read through the book of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar's already gone, and it's Darius, which is king of the Medes and Persians. Okay, so but when a law was passed that no one could pray to anyone, ask a petition of anyone other than to the king, because that was politics back there in that day. Then the king signed the law, not knowing the effect it was going to have on Daniel, right? And then when Daniel went and prayed, then the people that had the king sign the law brought him to the king and said, Daniel is making petitions to God. Okay, so Darius the king did not want Daniel to be cast into the den of lions. But he told Daniel when they got to the mouth of the den of lions, I guess they're going to lower him down into the pit. It's not a lion's den like the lion's den could be empty. It's a den of lions if you read the wording right. That means the lions were down there, and Daniel's going to be stuck in that hole with the lions. Okay, and the King Darius is sure that Daniel's going to be okay. He thinks Daniel's going to be okay. He said, your God will be able to deliver you. Okay? So they drop Daniel down in there with the lions, and the king goes back to his room, and Daniel sleeps with the lions for the night. And the king can't sleep all night. Right? He has no peace. He thinks that Daniel's God can take care of him, but he's not sure. Okay? So the next morning they come back to the den of the lions, And the king says, Daniel, is thy God able to deliver thee? The king is questioning because he's hoping that Daniel's God was able to deliver him. But he's not sure. Is thy king which thou servest continually, is thy God which thou servest continually, able to deliver thee? And Daniel's down there with the lines. I wonder how long he waited. Okay, I wonder if it was an immediate response, or in my heart, in my thought process, Annette, I'm thinking Daniel, this king was really worried about me. This king was really concerned about me last night. And he said, "O king, live forever." And that's, the king rejoices. Daniel had the peace that Jesus was talking about. The king was looking for that peace, hoping, because we dropped him in the hole, we set him down with the lions. The king wanted to have that assurance that Daniel was going to be okay. He didn't have it till the morning, and then look back and say, okay, Daniel had that peace no matter what was going to happen. Okay? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were bound and ready thrown in the fire, they said, "We'll play the music again if you'll bow down to us." And they said, "We won't." They said, "Our God is able to deliver us, and if not, or but if not." That means if God doesn't deliver us from the fire, then you're going to throw it, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. If you're going to throw us into the fire, if he delivers us, fine. If he doesn't deliver us, we'll be playing tag with the angels anyway. So it doesn't really matter. That's the peace that Jesus gave his disciples. Peace I give it. My peace I give it. Not as the world gives peace. My peace, since in your heart of hearts, bless you, in your heart of hearts, you know, no matter what happens, everything's okay. How many have that all the time? You in this room? You have that peace all the time? Some people nodding their heads, some people shaking it, some going this way, some going this way, and some like, I don't know, Brother John. I'm more like Darius the king saying, yeah, God can. I don't know. You stay up all night and worry about it. Okay? How many have it? How many want it? That all the time everything's okay. Peace is not twisting facts to get people to see your way. Peace is not changing things or seeing things through a rose-colored glasses. Put that way. Peace is in your heart of hearts saying it's okay. No. How many pray about something and after you pray about something, got peace about this? Right? A decision that you're going to make, buying a house, buying a car, changing jobs, whatever. There's a lady that was she's vice president of a bank. She was doing really well with life, and she had heard her husband was doing well, and the kids were growing. She's a Christian lady. Grandkids go to Christian school and all that. And she called me one day from a different bank, and because I'm a salesman, I sell a lot of banks. She called me one day from a different bank, and she said, "When you come down this way, I want you to come and see me." Well, I didn't know she'd changed. I didn't know who she was at. So I went in to see her, and she said, this opportunity came up. And I talked to my husband about it. I talked to God about it. I had this peace about making this change. Okay? She said, "I said, I'm glad you put it in that order that you talked to your husband first, and then you prayed about it." And she said, "I just know this is what I'm supposed to do." Now, about 2 years later, the former bank that she was at got bought out. She lost her job and we lost everything because a lot of times in the mergers, people just lose everything. Some people. She said, "I just knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing." Okay, so she'll stay there where she's at. She stays till she retires. It's not twisting things. It's having assurance in your heart that everything's okay. Peace is, God said, and I obeyed. Jesus said that. And the outcome is up to God. Okay? 30 years ago, I heard a story about a missionary that went to, he's over in Africa, going to these tribes in Africa, and I can't remember, it's Congo, I think it was, and his son came up missing, and the king of a certain tribe told him to come to his village. So he went to the village because he'd been to that village to preach the gospel about the love of God, and the king had him come in and sit with him, and he said, "You say your God loves me?" He said, "Yes, sir." And they brought a bag in, and he pulled a hand out of the bag. And it was that missionary recognized that little white hand as being his son. He said, "Does your God still love me?" See, he pulled a foot out of the bag. He says, "Your God still love me?" And the missionary, inside he's breaking, but on the outside he's telling this chief, king, or whatever the tribe was. And eventually the chief came, pulled the head of the missionary's son out of the bag and handed it to him. He said, does your God still love you? Now, I'm not saying anybody should go through this, okay? But that missionary standing there, sitting there, holding his son's head, had to decide, what peace do I have? What assurance do I have? I know where my son's at. Would you want this for anybody? I won't want this for anybody. There's a couple that went to House Anderson College just a year or so ahead of me and Tammy. That their mom and dad were their dad was the president of the college, and their mother was one of the teachers, Ms. Evans. They went to New Guinea to tribes that had to cannibal tribes that had eaten the last missionaries that had gone there. What's wrong? That's a death wish, right? Nope, it wasn't a death wish. They went and won those people to Christ. Anybody see the movie called Beyond the Spear? You know the five missionary families, five missionary families from South America, where they rent the movie, apart from Tammy. I wouldn't know what's that. They were trying to reach these tribes, and there was one place that was landlocked. They couldn't get to the tribe. And the guy that flew the airplane, the missionary pilot, he came up with this idea that if they use a pen in the illustration, that if they fly the plane in a circle and they have something hanging there at a certain angle, they can get it to where that thing spins to where it just almost goes straight down. So they fly the plane in a circle and get lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And they lowered this basket down to these tribes. Watch the movie, okay? Beyond the Spear is what it's called. They lowered this basket down to these tribes. And then people get stuff out of the basket and they lift it up and go away and they come back. And they came back several times to that village because they'd seen people there flying over, but there was no way to get to these people. And this is a true story. I think it's 1960s, early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. And eventually they found a place where they could land their plane, just a little small plane. 4 or 5 missionary men got out of it and witnessed to the people, trying to learn the language. Okay. I think the first time they landed, everything was okay. The second time they landed, they weren't killed. Okay, the missionaries were killed. The families of those missionary men who eventually they got some people in there to find the plane, find the bodies, whatever, and get them out. They went back to the family, including the boy who became a missionary, went back and won those people to Christ. The wives of the men that were killed on the little beach thing that day went back and won those people to Christ. Some of them have even come to America and given their testimony. And one of the men that killed this man killed the little boy's father. Eventually, in the movie, there's a documentary movie and a movie. They explained that when he explained to the boy that he was the one that actually killed his father, I think the boy had peace. I don't think the boy was okay with it. These are drastic stories. This night, Jesus is telling his disciples, tomorrow I'm going to be crucified. You don't understand this night, but I want you to have something. You're going to be okay. It's called peace. My peace. Okay? Now, how many worry every time your kids go out the door? How many worry every time you get in the car and they're going a long distance? Once they start driving, and they're driving, Rebecca's driving from here to Chicago by herself. Okay, how many are concerned? Deeply concerned, right? There's a peace that can say it's okay, no matter what the circumstance is. It's okay. Anybody ever laid off from a job? Thought your job you'd never be laid off on. Okay? Everybody go through like a place closed down and everyone loses their job? there's a peace that can come, but it's a peace of knowing, and it comes with a knowledge of I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. God knows where I'm at. He loves me no matter what the circumstance is. He's in charge. That's peace. That's that peace right there. Okay? Years ago, when I first started in sales, my boss told me what to do. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a most smooth talking salesperson guy. I'm just not that guy. Okay? And my largest account, about a year after I went into sales, my largest account, which is GE Plastics in Parkersburg, decided all the purchasing would go to Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And it means I was going to lose my largest account, which was about half my business. And my boss was a Christian guy, and I said, "This is bad." My boss says, "Okay, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and everything's going to be okay." It's all worked out. It actually worked out better in the long run. Okay. There are people that I've heard this in church. When I talk about soul winning, going out witnessing people, there are people that say soul winning doesn't work. That's a command in scriptures. Anything we're commanded to do, if we do what we're supposed to do, then the outcome was up to God. That's the peace part of it. It says, okay, if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't know that. Just like the 11 disciples sitting there with Jesus at night, I don't know what the outcome is for tomorrow, but I know it's okay. It's going to be okay. In every area of life, God says, I want you to have it. I want you to have this assurance, peace in your heart. Okay. Any questions on this? Brother John, you suggesting our kids be missionaries? Nope. Okay. You suggesting we all get laid off? Nope. But I am suggesting that there's a peace that comes from God that He wants you to have. Sure. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I know exactly what you mean. It comes back to our confidence that God knows what He's doing. And it's right. That's right. Hey, you said right. 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 And everybody in this room has gone through the exact same thing when you think was right, what was the right thing to do, was the right choice, and then you make your decision and you say, okay, that was my choice. You said, I think I got this right. Okay, then the peace, sometimes that peace doesn't come right away. there are times when, okay, Jesus told someone to fast and pray. So this come with forth but by fasting. Okay, there's sometimes there's times when other people stay up all night and pray about something. Um, I'll use this illustration. There was a time something happened. I got a phone call at night. Didn't know where Rebecca was, and I couldn't get a hold of her. I was up all night. Okay, just not worried. Well, of course, I didn't worry. I'm too spiritual for that. I was praying the whole time. I was worried and praying at the same time. Okay, you can do both. Okay, and if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't guarantee the outcome's going to be what you want it to be. Because everybody in this room has situations that we said the outcome's not what I expected it to be or what I wanted it to be. Okay, but the outcome is I'm going to be okay with whatever God says. It may not be what we want. It may be better than we want. Okay, we trust Him, and it comes back to not the world giveth peace, His peace, and it'll come. Okay. Very good. Anybody else with a question or comment? Because every one of us has this turmoil. Is that every one of us has this turmoil? Like if you still have a pulse, they're going to be things that trouble you, right? Okay. All right. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. I pray that you give us peace and wisdom in every decision we make, that we'll seek and accomplish your will, and we'll do what we're supposed to be doing and know that you're doing what you're doing. You always do what's right. We trust you because you know what's right. We trust your wisdom. We pray that you'll give us wisdom in our choices. Thank you for the peace that you've given us in our heart that we need today. Some of us won't need it till tomorrow. Please use us for your glory. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.